People have been freaking out about Spotify's updated terms of service, and there actually is a reason to be concerned. Now, let me cut to the chase on this. The most important language is in Section 4, which talks about content and intellectual property rights. And we've been talking about this whole, well, Spotify is apparently going to start remixing music creators' stuff on their platform, which is not really with our consent, right? This is a problem for a lot of people. So we go, is this it? Has the moment come? And in the terms, it does specifically say, well, let's take a look at it. Under the title, licenses that you grant to us, Spotify, so you retain ownership of your music. However, you grant to us all the following, which is a non-exclusive, transferable, sub-licensable, we get to give it to someone else, royalty-free, fully paid, we're not going to pay you anything, right? AKA the right to display, modify, and create derivative works. Now, I've seen some people take a look at this and they go, well, this actually doesn't even apply to music creators because this is the terms of service for someone using Spotify, right? This is for the consumer of Spotify. And to that, I say, well, let me ask this question. You, music creator that has your music on Spotify, do you happen to have a personal Spotify account of which you consume music through? If the answer happens to be yes, then you absolutely, as a music creator, have agreed to this contract. And it does say, to the extent you have anything that you put on the platform, these are all the rights that you give to Spotify. The reason why I'm drawing out this argument, because we actually saw it in a Disney wrongful death case. Let me bring this home. So someone had actually passed away. Okay, they were eating at a Disneyland restaurant in Orlando, and this was in 2023. And the husband brought this wrongful death lawsuit. And what Disney did is that they responded and they go, hey, we want this lawsuit to be moved into arbitration. And the reason we're asking for this is because the person who had passed away got a Disney Plus subscription. And in their Disney Plus subscription, they had agreed to the terms of service, which said, if you have a problem with us, you will arbitrate. So they tried to get out of court and go into arbitration, which is just more efficient. It's a less formal process. And to do it based on the kind of gotcha argument, which is what this would be. Because you little Spotify artists are actually consuming, you've signed this contract, you've agreed to all the things. So I go, okay, let's pretend you're not going to be bound to this. I do think there's an argument that you would be bound to this, but let's pretend that's not the case. Well, guess how you are bound to Spotify? There's a thing called Spotify for Artists. Spotify for Artists is how you get access to your profile. You can upload what are called canvases, right? Videos that are associated with your music. You can post featured songs and do all kinds of things on your profile. And guess what? There's a terms of service for your Spotify for Artists profile. Let's take a look. This is Spotify for Artists terms of use. Last updated September 1, 2021. We're going to scroll down and it actually is section 4 in this document as well. Content and intellectual property rights, licenses that you grant to us, and it says the exact same thing. You give us the rights to display, modify, create derivative works, right? AKA remix your stuff without your consent because you already gave it without further compensation to you. And in fact, it actually goes on to say that they can promote with your stuff and they don't have to pay you anything. They can market, they can use your likeness, your image. Again, you've already given them the right. Now, caveat. This says as it relates to anything that you upload through your Spotify for Artists account. So again, you're not actually uploading your music through your Spotify for Artists account. Where does it come from? Well, it comes from your music distributor. Understanding that the only way to get your music onto Spotify is through a music distributor, the rights that you give to your music distributor is a huge part of this, and it gets worse. As just one example, I'm looking at DistroKid because of course DistroKid is one of the biggest music distributors for you independent music creators. We are in section 5. If you scroll down to little 3, it goes, you are authorizing DistroKid to give authorization to other third parties or licensees of DistroKid to do all the things to create, use, exploit, and make so-called remixes of your music. AKA, you've already given DistroKid, and this is very common language that we have read in pretty much all the music distributor contracts, that says you've already given the music distributor the right to give Spotify the right to remix your music. And that is why we are terrified. So it's not so much that, well, the new updated language and the terms of service for Spotify is now the thing that's going to allow Spotify to have its users freely remix your music without your say-so, without you knowing about it, without you giving approval of who you get get remixed, what's the quality of the remix, this actually already exists. Now, what I can say is that because I have distributed previously through DistroKid, this is the same language that's been there for years. They're not trying to necessarily do this, right, to get a quick one over you. What I'm saying is that this was already the language in the first place. But now, because they're like, you give us the right to remix, well, they give Spotify that right. And as we saw, technically, in the terms of service, if you are using Spotify for artists, you in fact also have granted those rights. So they're kind of getting there through multiple ways. Now, we were reviewing on this channel a platform called Hook, and we were talking about how Two Lost, which is a music distributor, had been distributing music to Hook. And so we made some suggestions that they in fact did implement as far as making it very clear to their users who think they're distributing their music to music platforms and to be like, this isn't a music platform. You are actually sending it to a platform where people remix with authorization and then they put it on social media platforms and they release it to the world. And so they actually updated to try to make this more clear to people who are using it. But, in one instance, right, at least Hook is trying to do this legally, lawfully, with informed consent, that people are going to go on the platform and do this. So with our Spotify, you're making all these updates saying that this year there should be this deluxe super premium tier that you're going to be rolling out, which will include this remix function. And so we have been scrubbing through, and that's why we keep pointing to how could they possibly do this so that it actually is legal? Well, this is how. And what's interesting is that one of the features of the deluxe tier, which has not been rolled out yet, but one of the promised features was to upgrade to lossless high definition audio. And in fact, Spotify already released this. Spotify did the thing. It also just recently added in direct messaging. What they're saying is it should help with people sharing songs with family and friends. And also I'm like, are you trying to become a social media platform? Not sure. But in all the things that are happening right now and people being concerned about what Spotify is doing, where Spotify's money is going, which is actually why a lot of people are jumping ship. That's a side conversation, but also in creators' music and whether you are okay with users on Spotify being able to remix your stuff without your permission. Be it legal, lawful, something you already agreed to, or not. Are you okay with it? Leave a comment down below. I'm Top Music Attorney, and I'll see you on the next one.